How are you? Hopefully, you guys are having a good Saturday night here as I'm recording this at 11. Was it 11:12 here on November 22nd? High top, conf- not confused Jacksonville, Florida, but definitely vibe-wise confused Jacksonville, Florida. A lot of things going on, man. The ACC is a total mess. We'll get to that in just a moment. Of course, this is our reaction for college football today. All the action happened today. But yeah, the ACC, just get out of the way. It's a total mess right now. With just what just happened in Atlanta, some 100 plus miles up to our north here in Jacksonville. So yeah, be sure to subscribe to the channel, like the videos when we do them, streams and whatnot. Of course, this is a video only. So our reaction here. Of course, we'll have our show on Tuesday night, or not. Well, we won't have a show Tuesday. We'll pre-record it on Monday and whatnot, and I will post it on Tuesday. It'll be ready to go for Tuesday. But we have a lot of things to talk about here in terms of what happened today in college football. So first off, the game that finished just a little while ago, Pitt taking out Georgia Tech and Atlanta. Told you guys on the Thursday show. I had this in the upset alerts. Other folks did as well. I was very, very concerned about this game, okay? Based on the fact that it was a look-ahead spot for Georgia Tech. Pitt getting humbled at home by Notre Dame. Of course, what Pat Narduzzi said, before that game, saying that hey, we're focused on the ACC games. This is not it, and this is not an ACC. This is not an ACC game. I'm talking about referring to Notre Dame. That all came to fruition. So he was, man of his word. So give him some credit here, man of his word, and he was right. They took this game very seriously. They were up 28-0 at one point, and then of course Georgia Tech starts to come back, and you think to yourself, "Oh, this is the sequel to Texas A&M South Carolina." We just didn't know it at the time. Turned out to be not be the case. This is, in a lot of ways, this game. Excuse me. This game, in a lot of ways, kind of felt like if this was like an alternate version of that A&M South Carolina game from last week, sort of like an alternate ending, like if South Carolina had actually held on to the lead and hadn't let up. This is what this game felt like, and huge for Pat Narduzzi and them, because now they have their fate in the ACC in their hands here. I mean, it's them, Virginia, I believe. Georgia Tech's kind of out of it now. They're done with conference play. They get Georgia on Friday, Black Friday, and Miami, and SMU, I think. So there's 5 teams, if you will, in line for the ACC championship game. They're still in play for it. So we'll let it settle itself on the field, I guess, and then we'll get to some tiebreaker stuff. But, man, what a huge win for Pat Narduzzi and that staff there. Just a lot of things that you really haven't seen. I guess the Georgia Tech team get exposed like that. I mean, outside of maybe the NC State game and some other games, and they're winning close games, but just getting dominated like that, like 28-0, like very, very uncharacteristic from a Brent Key team who knows what its identity is. And yes, you can say, look, a lot of their games, even a lot of their wins before they lost NC State were close. The Boston College game was a really, really bad sign, and not to mention they have the game against Georgia at Mercedes-Benz Stadium next week. Sort of a classic look-ahead spot. There you go. They were looking ahead, and they lost to a much better team in terms of abilities to win games in different ways. And Pitt, again, I have a lot of respect for Pat Narduzzi. Been around for a while there at Pitt. Has a lot of great stuff there. So just a huge win for that program. Again, for Georgia Tech, man, this was as flattening of a start as you can imagine from them. Just total flat, complete splattering taking place. Now, they came back. Give them some credit here. Give them credit where credit due. They came back at several times, but Pitt had the answers. Pitt always responded. They responded. Every single time Georgia Tech tried to come back, and they sort of did what most good teams do and cut the head off the snake, don't let it survive, and doing what South Carolina couldn't do last week and actually, win the game. So, and also for Georgia Tech, I mean, you looked as bad as you did. You looked unprepared. You were kind of the classic, falling asleep, and then you wake up too late and you realize you're too much screwed. I also wondered, and this is something I think Josh Pitt brought up on his upset alerts, how distracted is Brent Key? They brought this up on the broadcast. I believe it was actually Fowler and Herb Street in Gainesville, which is like 50 miles to my west here in Jacksonville. They brought this up during the Tennessee game because that game ended up being a splattering of itself. That Brent Key kind of distracted a little bit. and he's up for a lot of these jobs, the Auburn job, the Penn State job, a couple others. Is he distracted? I don't know. Same thing about, we were asking about Matt Rule last month, I believe, and they lost to Minnesota. So on that Friday night. So same thing here. We don't know for sure, but could be a possibility. But yeah, Pitt causing chaos in the ACC as we needed more chaos. More here. Tennessee ending its losing streak and not Knoxville. They've won last year. Ending its losing streak in Gainesville pretty emphatically. I believe the final score of 31-11. Of course, Florida goes for Dose. Sponsored by Dos Equis. Not a sponsor of the show, but hey, if Dos Equis wants to sponsor us, go ahead. But went for Dose, made it 11 points there. Voted a shutout, by the way, so that streak continues. At least something was continuing. But huge for Tennessee, man. Huge to get a huge lead and not let it evaporate. Kind of reminded me of that LSU game a couple years ago with Hendon Hooker, that team that ended up becoming the number one team in the country for a little bit. It's similar to that LSU Tennessee game in 2021 or 2022, where they went in there, dominated in the first half, and it just felt like the game was never in doubt. Like, it just felt like they built a huge lead, and then Heupel said, all right, we're cool. Defense is dominating. Florida feels like the classic, open the body bag. Body's still in there. They're dead. Yep, they're dead. All right, zip back up. All right, cool. So that's what Tennessee did. They dominated. They made sure to look at the body bag and dispose of the body bag. Man, what a great coaching job Heupel has done this year with this Tennessee team. Everyone, kind of in the preseason, including me, were thinking, 7-6 wins. If the transitional period from, you lose Nico to UCLA and then you kind of do the whole, bring in another transfer guy who was at UCLA and ended up being your starter. Just a lot of talent being lost on defense. And then you go through the season, you start out with the Virginia game, or Syracuse game, a bit shaky. Offense looks amazing. Defense, Georgia game, offense looked great. Defense, you had the Bama game, and then you had a couple other results that were kind of, sweet and sour. It all came together tonight against grant you a Florida team that is a zombie Florida team that is, again, inside the body bag, and they're going to stay in the body bag probably. And they took care of business, like you should, against the body bag team. So kudos to them for doing that for Florida. I mean, look, it's their worst season that I can possibly remember. I think it's actually going to be worse than that McElwain year when they went 4-7, I believe. At the very least, that's what it's looking like. So, kudos for Tennessee. Of course, Florida still waiting on who their next coach will be. We'll see. Lane Kiffin could be Alex Galesh at South Florida, could be someone else. Oklahoma, dominant defensively over Missouri earlier. I think the final in that one was 17-16, or not 17-16. It wasn't that close. At least in terms of the actual point difference, it was 17-6. Oklahoma offense, the limitations are still there with Mateer. We've known that. If you've been watching like my show or other shows like Cover 3, for example, Bud and those guys have broke that down with the limitations Mateer has. And look, he's not a bad quarterback. It's just some things he doesn't do particularly well. But man, that Brent Venables defense, whew, I mean, I said this before and I'll say it again. In terms of a pure defensive coach, a defensive coach, the top tier one used to be Will Muschamp. Now, of course, Muschamp has sort of gone into more of a off-field role. He's still at Georgia, I believe. He's still employed by them. He's not technically a part of the main coaching staff, but he's still around. But in terms of an actual coach who's still full-time doing it, it's Brent Venables. And he is once again showing you why he is one of the best defensive minds in all of college football. And even really all of football, too, including the NFL. I mean, he's really, really good. Very smart. Knows what he's doing. In terms of operating the defense. But the offense has been looking a little Muschamp-ish. I'm not saying it's total Muschamp. I'm not saying that Brent Venables is a Muschamp clone. He's not. I don't think he is. He clearly cares about the offense because Ben Arbuckle is a very good offensive coordinator. It's just the limitations, man, with Mateer. And, he reminds me of Mateer in a lot of ways. And it's not the best comparison, but I think it's kind of worthy, is Jeff Driscoll at Florida. Ironically, with Muschamp. Kind of similar profile, more of a running quarterback. Not the best thrower of the football, but They beat Missouri, and Missouri has yet to beat a ranked team this year, so that they will not beat one unless they play one in the bowl game because they get a Arkansas team that is also much like Florida body bag team next week in the rivalry game. So good for OU, and they get LSU, who I believe is winning or did end up beating um, Western Kentucky. Actually, we check that. Actually, is that game what the score is? Because I know it was 13-3. I don't know if the score has changed or not. Let me double check here real quick. I guess I could. Let's see here. Go get SEC. Yeah, no, well, this is not the shows. We can kind of do what we want here. Let me check here. Okay, yeah, they won 13-10. I'll grant you, Western Kentucky's not a bad team. By the way, too, speaking of Western Kentucky, I wasn't to mention this on the show previously, but I guess I haven't before. Why isn't Tyson Helton getting more looks at head coach? Like, I know he's been there for a while, and maybe he should have left like a long time ago. If you don't know, Tyson is the brother of Clay Helton, the former USC head coach who's at Georgia Southern. Like, why hasn't Tyson Helton got more looks as a head coach elsewhere? Like, why? That baffles me. Again, maybe he wants to stay there, but like, I mean, if he's going to take one of these big jobs, if he's going to, at least if he has ambitions to do so, do it now, because you're not going to get many more chances to, like, later on down the road. Because your time to strike now as a G5 coach is to do it when you're hot. And Tyson's been very consistent there at Western Kentucky. Like, he's only had one losing season. I believe that was either during the 2020 season or just after it. Very consistent there at Western Kentucky with Tyson Helton. So I'm just curious, why he has not gotten a job yet. Like, Auburn could use him, Arkansas potentially, some of these other schools in the SEC or in the Southeastern region. So be interesting. Even Penn State, why not? So that was baffling to me why Tyson Helton's never got a job at a big-time school. Just baffles me. He continues to win there. Yes, no, they lost today, but they were close today with LSU. So that's who Oklahoma gets. Yeah, that's how we got to that. Meanwhile, Oregon, USC, felt very confident that Oregon was going to win this game, and they did. They did win. They were pretty dominant late. They had to cover a little bit. It's tough, man. It's tough to do it with Oregon and sort of the ways they're doing it versus these talented teams that they're playing, because they've had to play a lot of the more talented teams in the Big Ten. Indiana, Penn State, when they were, coached by James Franklin at the time. Then you have USC. And that was a huge win for them too, for Oregon to keep themselves sort of in the Big Ten race, but not really. I think it is still Indiana and then the winner of Michigan, Ohio State, I believe. Yeah, so whoever wins that game is going to Indianapolis, I think. Yeah, I think they are now because USC lost, so it doesn't matter because the tiebreakers or the tiebreaker situation that they had over Michigan is invalid because the record's worse than them now. So it doesn't matter. So winner of the Michigan-Ohio State game, they will be going to face Indiana more than likely, and then Oregon, I guess, still in the mix for that. But it's kind of a sweet and sour performance for Oregon. Like, it was good, but wasn't great either. So it was both sweet, also a lot of sourness. Turnovers galore, penalties too, a lot of dumb penalties for Oregon. Very uncharacteristic for a Dan Lanning team to get that many penalties in the game, from what I can tell. But for USC, man, this is tough. You actually did kind of okay on offense. There was some stuff like the trick play with Lemon throwing the football, which was something they tried before during, I believe, in the Notre Dame game, I believe. But it's tough because you have that offensive performance from USC and how actually pretty good it was. Low-key kind of good performance offensively, but then your defense lets you down. And that's not good enough, I think, to win to at least win against the big boys. And you can do that against, the smaller schools like your Minnesotas and whatnot. But I will just say this, Josh Pate brought this up on with Busting with the Boys, Will Compton and Taylor LeWan weeks ago about, when they asked JP when they went on his the episode they do on Wednesdays about I think it was either Taylor or Will asked him about a potential situation that no one's talking about in terms of the coaching carousel, and Josh Pate brought up USC. And then he just mentioned USC and Lincoln Riley, but I'd say he hasn't fully sort of went into more detail about that. I wonder now with this loss, with them losing at USC, wonder on tomorrow's show if JP's going to expand on that. He's going to. There's no ways that he's not going to. There was no ways to totally avoid him dropping that little teaser on with busting with the boys, not getting away with it, or not getting away with it. So hopefully, there's someone on Twitter released to remind him, saying, "Hey, you did tease something with busting with the boys about USC and Lincoln Riley. Since how they lost, can you now, I guess, add more context to that? What that meant?" So I wonder if he was waiting for them to lose another game to bring that up. I'm sure he is. And there's no reason why he brought it up, and he's not going to bring it up again. He is going to bring it up again. And I think he's going to tomorrow. So it'll be interesting to see here what he brings up tomorrow, JP, on this show about Lincoln Riley's future there at USC. More here. Kentucky, Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt did move past, so good for them. Texas, same thing. So those two games now. So Vanderbilt, Kentucky, that result means that Vanderbilt, Tennessee, Vanderbilt needs to go to Knoxville and beat Tennessee to get to at least make themselves viable for a playoff spot. And then for Texas, big chance for getting a huge monster win over A&M at home next week. So they beat Arkansas. Yes, they gave up 30 points, but look, by Petrino, Arkansas, at least the thing this year that's been consistent is their offense. Defensively, whoop. Let's see here. Michigan, Maryland, Michigan took care of business. TCU beat Houston. That was in the red category, by the way, in the upset alerts. Everyone laughed at us for it. So we got that one right in the Pitt game right with Georgia Tech. Cincinnati, BYU. I think BYU's pulling away, so that one was wrong. We got that one wrong. Good for BYU, though. Kind of defying the odds makers again in the power ratings, folks. Tennessee, UF, talked about it already. OU, Missouri, we've talked about. Let's see here, any more games in the SEC we missed? I don't think so. I guess Auburn, Mercer, and then Alabama beating their FCS team. And look, we'll have more about that game, the Iron Bowl, on Tuesday. Well, now we'll publish the show on Tuesday, but we pre-recorded, so I'll technically be talking about it on Monday when I'm recording it. But we have a lot to say about that game. A lot of things to. I mean, look, good for them to unleash Deuce Knight, who was just sitting on the bench for Auburn, and he looked like Lamar Jackson / Kyler Murray out there. So cool. You had a dynamo of a quarterback on your offense, and you had him using it. So it'll be interesting to see what they do with him. He won't play probably against Bama. It'll be Ashton Daniels, but Bama, by the way, they shut out Eastern Illinois, an FCS team, so they beat a glorified high school team, but Ty Simpson did not look very good today. He threw 2 picks, apparently. That's at least according to the stats, so that's not good. Georgia, kind of the same thing, kind of a ho-hum win over Charlotte. Not the Panthers, but no, not the Hornets, the NBA team, but the football team, college football team. Then same with A&M, they shut out. Took care of business against their FCS team. Moving on here, more games here to talk about. Ohio State took care of business earlier. Miami, same thing. Pretty impressive, though, getting a huge win against Virginia Tech, who, again, will be coached by a different coach next year. Oh, man. Syracuse, Notre Dame. This will definitely be the Sarah McLachlan special on Josh Page's show tomorrow. 70-7. And I know this will be repeated all over the place, but just the definition of insanity. 21 of those 70 points did not involve any offense. It was 2 pick sixes and a punt return. Make that from what you will. I mean, Notre Dame opened up the bat. Notre Dame basically did what Tennessee did, but even worse. I mean, they basically unzipped the body bag, saw the corpse, basically took the corpse outside the body bag, proceeded to beat it and probably stick some TNT and try to blow it up, and then put it back inside the body bag, which the corpse is Syracuse, or what's left of Syracuse football. And no, Fran Brown's not getting fired. The season kind of went off the rails after the Clemson win, which is kind of funny that Clemson lost to a horrible Syracuse team. Probably the worst Syracuse team in a number of years, probably since the end of the Babers era, which is actually not that long ago. But Notre Dame again essentially took out, unzipped the body bag, took the corpse out, proceeded to try to beat it, put it out of it. yeah, just doing some very unspeakable things to what's left of Syracuse football. And I actually was watching some of that game, and it was not fun to watch. Now, if you're a sadistic like me, you probably enjoyed it. But anyway, two lines of care of business. Oh yeah, this one, Kansas State, Utah, probably the best game of the day. Very exciting. Kansas State, man. It's like that meme of the All State commercial. The guy's like, oh, gotta be quicker than that. That's what that felt like. Even this game kind of felt more like the spiritual successor of the A&M South Carolina game, because I believe Kansas State was up big on this game. Like they were up pretty significantly, if I recall. Yeah, they were up. Let me check here. How much were they up by? 1 point. Because no, it was pretty significant. Yeah, they were up by multiple touchdowns at 1 point, like by 10. So and Utah came storming back. So good for Utah, man, to keep their playoff hopes alive. They are the highest ranked Big 12 team outside of Texas Tech, I believe. They're the highest ranked in power, or not ranked, the highest listed team in power ratings. So they would be favored over a lot of teams, which is amazing for a Big 12 team, not named Texas Tech. But yeah, man, for Kansas State, I mean, it's tough, man. And they had Jackson, running back, went for over almost 300 yards. And that's not even the biggest story of the game. It was the biggest story is Kansas State pulling just letting this get away from them, and Utah making a huge comeback. And just that's amazing that a running back who almost ran for 300 yards that's like the fifth best thing to happen during the game. I didn't watch a whole lot of this game, but I did watch some of it towards the end. But yeah, definitely the game of the day. And man, what a sad season for Kansas State. Now, look, they'll probably go to a bowl game. I think they'll beat Kansas and make it to a bowl game if they don't. I mentioned earlier during the season, back, I believe in September, that there was a lot of talking about Chris Kleiman's future there. I can't say. Now, he's not getting fired, I believe, but it wouldn't surprise me if he's not there next year, either if it's retirement or resigning or taking another job. I don't know. If you're a K-State fan, I know there's not a whole lot of you, but there's definitely a good amount of you who do pay attention and watch a lot of these shows. But this was tough to watch, man. This is really tough to watch. I mean, their win percentage, by the way, from ESPN's own internal service was, I believe, as high as 90, I believe, at 94%. Like, wow. Yeah. That was, I mean, look, a fun game, but man, if you're a Kansas State fan, that's almost talking the microphone there, almost knocked it off. More here again. BYU did end up winning, so good for them. Wisconsin, how about that, beating another ranked team, Illinois, 27-10. They didn't get a whole lot of looks in that game, so good for Luke Fickell. How about that? Him getting that extension. It's almost like a new lease on life. Trying to think, there's anything else to look over here? I don't think so. Again, next week, huge week. I mean, again, our show Tuesday, which will be recorded on Monday again, be pre-recorded. I cannot emphasize how jam-packed that show would be. That show could easily be multiple hours long. I mean, we have multiple storylines. We have like the Egg Bowl. Correction earlier about Kansas State. They already played Kansas, so they both of them actually need one more win to get to a bowl game. So yes, they've already played each other, so they don't play each other on every weekend. But anyway, I just got reminded of that because Utah plays Kansas. They play them on a Black Friday as well. But so much stuff going on. I mean, we have the big Friday slate with the Egg Bowl, Georgia Tech, and Mercedes-Benz Stadium. I hate that, but whatever. You also have Texas A&M in Texas on ABC. That's the nightcapper. And then a sneaky game on Fox, Arizona State. Sneaky game there, the rivalry game. And then, of course, you have the rest of the games. Oregon-Washington could be a sneaky game as well, potentially. I believe Washington's still playing right now as we're live. I don't know if they're winning or not. They may have already won. I don't know. I'll have to double check on that myself. But yeah, just again, it's a huge weekend next week. We have Michigan, Ohio State, the Iron Bowl, LSU, Oklahoma, Tennessee, Vanderbilt. Probably the biggest game in that rivalry in a long time. So, yeah, next And also, too, Northwestern, Illinois, too. Both. Congrats to Northwestern, by the way, getting bowl eligible for the second time under David Braun. So that's cool. But yeah, I mean, just a huge slate next week. And the show next week should be huge. And we're only doing one show next week, so we're going to jam everything into one show. Pure college ball, and then we'll do the Buck stuff, Buccaneers talk. I guess somehow towards the end of the show, and then we'll wrap it up somehow. But I think that's pretty much it. I mean, nothing else to really talk about. But well, I guess there is one more thing to talk about. Actually, totally forgot. Florida State yesterday, 21-11. They look dreadful. I mean, special teams is Mike Norvell's future there. I will just say this: pay attention tomorrow. I think tomorrow could be a huge day for Florida State. I think something will happen. Now, I won't probably do a video on it tomorrow evening because the Bucs are playing on Sunday Night Football against the Rams. We did a preview on that. Yes, I am. Maybe being a sadistic, I'm picking the Bucs to win somehow, some way. I may look like a total fool tomorrow, or I could look like a total genius. But because they are playing on Sunday Night Football, that's what we usually do. Like if there was like a big coach firing, that's what we've been doing the past few like month or so. But because they're on some Sunday Night Football, we can't do that. So we'll probably cover any movement on Mike Norvell if there's any movement to be had on the big Tuesday show. We'll just probably talk about it the first thing we talk about. So be on the lookout for that. But yeah, I think Norvell, he may have coached his last game there in Tallahassee, and I don't believe he will be coaching that rivalry game against Florida. So if you're looking for any coaching cycle news, that's the next one to fall, I believe, and that one's coming sooner rather than later. So just be on the lookout for that one tomorrow. Don't be surprised if you hear, Pete Nakos, Pete Thamel saying, hey, there's some stuff happening. Pay attention. So keep an eye on that. Don't be surprised if it happens, like if that news comes out before the 1 o'clock slate for the NFL games start. So just keep an eye on that. But I think that's it for our little reaction here. Again, a lot of breaking news to get to. Again, the ACC is a total mess. Oregon, Oklahoma roll. Utah survives Kansas State. Next week, man, the final regular season week. It's going to be sad, man. It's going to be really sad. It's already over. But we still have a lot more football to go. NFL, we have, championship weekend and whatnot. But it's not the same, man. That won't be the same as doing our predictions for the weeks and all the weeks. So, yeah, it's going to be tough in the last regular season for football until next August. It's going to be weird, man. It's going to be very weird. But it was a good season, great regular season. Hopefully the postseason will be as dramatic and amazing. But we'll do, I guess, the eulogy for the regular season, I guess, next week or the week after. So we'll see. But I can't believe it. It's already almost over. And it just felt like it just got started. But yeah, big weekend though. Huge weekend. Probably not since I think what was it? I forget which weekend it was. It wasn't last week of the Texas Georgia game. It was one of those other weeks. So that this is going to be the biggest weekend since then. Since one of those big like SEC weekends. I mean, it's definitely going to be one of the probably the most interesting rivalry weekends. Probably now, and this might be a little bit out there, but probably since 2013, which was the day of the kick six. You had that crazy Michigan Ohio State game. So probably since then, this is going to be the craziest rivalry weekend. But at least I think in recent memory. So at least we have that looking forward to. But so yes, again, big show Tuesday, no show Thursday, of course, Thanksgiving for us in the U.S. For international viewers, you'll just have one show to listen to. But so we have a big show Tuesday, previews and everything, Buccaneers stuff, reaction, predictions for the game against the Cardinals, which it looks like Bucky Irving, by the way, will be coming back for that. So that's cool. So until I guess you guys will. Well, I'll be recording the show Monday night, but until Tuesday, I guess we'll see you then. So yeah, enjoy the games tomorrow. Again, be sure to look out for that Mike Norvell news because I do believe that will be coming out most likely tomorrow. So just keep an eye out for that.